Host. It's just about 8 o'clock. AfroEconomics time is just about always on time. We're setting a record. 26 years of being on time. Thank God. Mm, I really appreciate your Wednesday nights spending this time with me. Thank you. Please chat so I can see. Um, I will be able to see that you're there. Thank you for taking the time out. We're talking about estate planning, generational wealth. Yes, we are. We're adding it. Yeah, the music is totally appropriate because we're going to bring some life into the thoughts of death. We're still here. We still we still are here. So let's make sure we enjoy ourselves while we're here. 2022 is around the corner. Generational wealth and effective legacy planning. I'm gonna put in the box. I'm gonna put in the chat myself. Um, we lost Miss Sims, and I want us to send to her children what we can. And I think because it's Cash App, it starts with a dollar sign, so they can get some meals or something. If we don't do it for us, who will, right, Mr. Jones? Journey Nails One. Her daughter's name is Samantha. Samantha. So let's make sure that we think about Miss Sims and her family during this time. And because last week also, you know, also I have to make sure that everything is going okay with the dents. Hey, Star, thank you so much. I got you and Mr. Jones and Mr. Robinson got to turn his camera on. Yeah, Miss Dent passed away. We lost two members on Saturday. And all the years, we've never lost, two members. I don't even think in the same month. So some interesting things are, going on, but definitely think about Samantha and her brothers and sisters, Miss Sims' children, and send them what you can. I want y'all to come on in the studio. You know, I know, I know that what we think about, often is, and I can't. That's James. James, what's your name?
James Smith.
Hi, James Smith. I have James Smith 33.
Correct.
That's the first time ever seeing you. It's so good to see you. I know, I'm so glad that I know your email like that. I was about to say, uh-uh, because I'm high security with our membership. Good to meet you. How you doing, Mr. Jones? You see our new members, Star and Mr. Smith.
I am good, JB. How's everybody doing this evening?
Great. And y'all see
All
my
right.
husband? He's still out there. Y'all see my husband, Mr. Robinson? He's up there.
What's
We,
up, y'all?
he has a show this weekend, so he is logging in and keeping it busy like we do at Afroeconomics. We just keep it going. Mr. Jones will tell you each Friday we have our business network. And the business network has its own challenges with estate planning. Sweetheart, hit your mute button for me. I
Okay.
think that's yours. I think it's yours. The business owners have their own challenges as far as estate planning. So it makes it even more important that in one of our Fridays we need to just spend on succession planning, estate planning for business owners, how to pass it on. I spoke with a brother on earlier this week that had his optometry business for 50 years. talking about being a pioneer. And I told him he is considering retiring. If he's listening, he's like, no, I'm retiring. But, I definitely, am confident that I can help him make sure that he maximizes the work that he has put into it. And I think that that's a big part of our community challenge. Y'all feel me on this? Is that we have to realize that everything that we're doing, Star, makes a difference, that your life does matter. And I think we see people like Prince who died with no will. I mean, think about it. Y'all can think of John Wayne, who's not black, but a major star, died with no will. You know, the who was, I mean, so many, of course, of our black entertainers died without thinking about their legacy plan. But I often think about when I think about with Prince, I think that sometimes people don't do things because they really don't think that it matters. They really don't think that their money matters, or their death doesn't matter, or they just don't realize that we all have to die someday. True, one thing we know, we're all going to die. So, in the discussion, thank you for those who are sharing with me, because I want you all to. Whoa, look at that! Oh, we got Miss Sanders. Good to see you.
Hi there.
Oh, Sharon, please turn on your video. You are got the S on your chest. We need your face. I think that's Miss Bussy. It says Sharon. But yeah, but definitely please turn on your video. I promise you, you are beautiful. But thank you. I want you all to just give me your mics are open. So if you don't want me to hear something, make sure you hit mute. But I want you to give me as much feedback on these key things that I'm going to bring up. Like, I just have about 10 points of things that I think are good. Aretha Franklin. Wow, how you doing, Queen Howard? You should be in the studio. She said she doesn't think Aretha Franklin had one either. I don't think so, because I think I did a Wednesday night about that when Aretha Franklin passed, and that's I think she had like 4 children, so it can get complicated. So let's look at just some estate planning things that I want us to keep in mind. The first principle of Afroeconomics is actually generational wealth. How you pass on all of the assets that you've accumulated, to the next generation. And I really don't we don't think about it, but I'm always thinking about it. When we have our initial conversations, and I'm just like asking you questions and things like that, I'm really assessing your value system. What is the footprint that you want to leave on the planet? What's really important to you? Because for the overwhelming majority of Afroeconomics members, that the money is a byproduct of the real purpose that pushes them. They'll mention something like my child or my grandkids or my so and so, and then you'll see it. You'll see, oh wow, they want to. Or I like to do things for people, like Mr. Jones is always talking about, like, things he wants to do for the community, people in the community that he wants to help, things like that. You get to see what really motivates you. So that's why legacy is the number one principle of Afroeconomics, of just thinking about what is going to keep you motivated, because it is pretty darn hard to just go out there and just work for 40 years for just money. Money is nice, but most of the time you're working for money to do something for someone else, or do something for you and those who you love, to take for provision. So that legacy is important. So my first tip is that I feel that we should just have a plan that this is the way I want things to go for me or for my descendants after my death. Having a estate plan or a legacy plan of action for many people means making sure that their beneficiary forms are updated. The bulk of most people's assets can be passed on just by them having their beneficiary forms updated. Does that make sense to you, Mr. Smith?
Oh, yes.
Right? I mean, think about the people that you know that tell you about, I don't know, what I hear, and I've seen people who have married and the person dies that they married and they still have their last wife as beneficiary on the life insurance.
Yeah, you hear those stories.
And now they have this debt together and she can't pay off the debt or he can't pay off the debt because the beneficiary was set up incorrectly. And this one lady was like, he kept saying he was going to update that. He kept saying he was going to do that. The next thing he's gone. So that and I've seen though, I must tell you, the beneficiary form supersedes the will. Would you instinctually, Star, would you think that that is true? I mean, if I didn't tell you that, would you
No.
think you would think a will supersedes
Yes.
everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't. My forms are more important than the will. So you could go and a man could like take his girlfriend to the lawyer's office and he can say, I'm leaving everything to this girl. And then the girl believes him, Mr. Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He's leaving me everything. So then he dies. And the bulk of everything, the only thing she gets is like his old car. Because that's like, the only thing. Because that's the only thing that fell really in the estate. Because imagine maybe everything else was like in an IRA and life insurance policies, and they are what? Beneficiaries. They have beneficiaries. So that is like, yes, indeed, Queen Howard, that is very important. Because people, I mean, one man came to see me and he said, look, he said, oh, he called me. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you, my wife passed, so I got to go see my lawyer. I got to go see my lawyer because I got to update my beneficiaries. And I said, I'm the keeper of the beneficiaries. He says, really? And I said, yeah. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, I was about to pay him all this money. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, do we even update the will? Like, you know what I'm saying? You can update the will, but just because you say that on the will, no, we need to update these beneficiary forms. But I thought it was interesting that he actually called me to tell me that he really didn't need any help from me. He just wanted to tell me that he had had a loss in the family. I was like, I'm sorry to hear that, but you do need to update that with me also. And it's very important that you do those things. So having that plan of what needs to be included in the will, is the will important, having an overall plan and talking, I believe, if you have a trusted registered investment advisor. I know that members of AfroEconomics, I encourage you to talk with me first so that if we do need to get legal documents involved, we can discuss the most cost effective way of doing it and are some things really important. Like people have come in my office and they've told me about, they're going to establish a trust because of some particular reason that wasn't valid. So my thing was, well, why are you, getting this trust? Like that's not a valid reason. And they said, well, they said, well, if I do the trust, then it will be protected and it will. I said, well, you're really going around the barn, and that's costing you about $4,000 extra money when you can do it like much easier ways. And and they were like stunned, like, really? And I was like, yeah. I said, but you got to understand that if you take your kids and you put that real estate into a trust, you have actually taken the control away from your child. So if I wanted to put something into a trust, I would want to basically not, I don't trust that child, or they have a special need, or there's a particular problem. But in many cases, it should just be inherited and given to the child. Why the trust comes in, and then in many cases, you are hiring a person to be over the trust that takes out a fee before your people get their money from the assets. So you're just costing your beneficiaries money in too many cases unnecessarily. Thousands of dollars used to create things that aren't needed. Like a client was just showing me that her taxable income went up so much, but a lot of it is because of a she unnecessarily established a trust, and in order to keep control over it, it's taxable to her right now. So there's a whole bunch of other things we could have done that would have helped her avoid the taxation, and it didn't have the trust, and she could have avoided the money for establishing that trust. So I think that we need to, when you're thinking about legal documents, make sure you speak with your trusted financial advisor if they are experienced in that area. If not, take advantage of AfroEconomics. Get involved, get empowered, get in the know. In many cases, it's just about asking the right questions. I'm not saying that we don't sometimes need to get lawyers involved, but what am I saying, Mr. Jones?
Excuse me.
What am I saying? Just don't waste money, right? That's all I'm saying. Don't waste money.
I was trying to read somebody just posted something. It was, yes, do not waste money. Don't spend money unnecessarily. Yes,
Yes.
pay yourself first. All of that.
Yeah.
All of that.
Because a lot of times we go to these outside sources, set up stuff that you really didn't need to do.
Right.
Or sometimes things can just be done with the county or with the city. Things can be established. I had one client, her mother added her to the house because she was taking care of the house. So her mother put her on the title, and the lawyer never registered the documents. She said the lawyer said she was supposed to do it. And she said that she thought the lawyer was going to do it.
Hmm.
So now nobody knows where the original documents are. That's thousands of dollars in taxation difference. And now it's not just hers. Now it's got to be split between everybody unless she finds that document.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
talking
bad
about,
lawyer.
huh?
Yeah.
That's a bad lawyer.
Horrible.
Horrible
Horrible.
lawyer. The
And guess
lawyer
what?
doesn't
And
do
guess
that.
what? Mr. Smith is a family member.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you can't, what I mean, get so mad at your family member. But that is so sad. I'm like, I don't, you know, and y'all know, sometimes I get off the chain, and I'll be like, you want me to call him? I call him. No, no. As if they're going to come up with the paperwork because I called them. I don't know. But something needs to be done. That's horrible. And they were just like, case closed. I mean, but that, oh, that's horrible. So talking about costly mistakes. So just be careful. And that could have been avoided because if she had included me in that process, I would have said, did you register it with the county? Did you get a confirmation? Did you get any paperwork that this is done? Do you have it? And even though it's sometimes seen as like JV is like, too much, like why she want to get proof of everything, we really need to have proof of everything, right, Miss Davis? And
Yes.
you're, yes, exactly. How you doing? If your speaker starts acting funny, which it's doing, but I know I just appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much. And give us feedback. That's
What's
probably
my
that's
speaker
probably
that's messing
that's
up?
probably your employer because they know you getting paid for watching me. Look, the employer is like, nah, I'm gonna make sure she get feedback. That is the hardest working woman. So okay. So my second point, and that's the first point, is making a plan, thinking it through. Let's talk it over, having the plan. A second point is talk with the family and the friends that you have included in that plan. My uncle put me as the executor, and he and his wife were estranged, and I had no idea. And his wife kept that fact from me until after he was buried and everything. And in his instructions, it said he didn't want to. He said he wanted to be cremated, and it had instructions for what he wanted me to do. She had taken everything, even down to the stuff out of his storage unit, and then told me that I was the executor. He never told me. So don't, you know what I mean? Do things and like tell people. At least when I found out that he had passed, I would have immediately got on it, right? Said like, he needed me. He wanted me to so and so. And my father kept pushing it, and then my father got sick, and I had, they started being aggressive about they didn't want me in the executor. My cousin started pushing, bullying me. He's a boy, a man, and he started bullying me, and I felt frightened. And I told the judge, I said, I'm not going to be able to be the executor. You know what I mean? Because I really do feel threatened. And the judge said, well, you're not going to do it. And he didn't care that I felt threatened, that I felt like I was going to be harmed. He just said, you're not going to do it, and he just gave it to him. And he was an attorney too, and a government attorney, and that was really sad, because nothing that my uncle wanted happened because he never told me that he wanted me to do it. And he had done that will 20 years ago. 20 years ago, he asked me to do it. So she didn't break the law. Yes, she did break the law. It was totally against the law. And the police told me, because the storage unit wasn't supposed to let her in the storage unit. She wasn't listed. And when I went to the storage unit, they said, well, they were like, what do you expect us to do? It's just a little old lady. And she came and she had this guy with her. And then they just came and they just took it off. And she said he was sick. And she didn't even wait till after he passed. She took it while he was in the hospital. And all this happened. I can't imagine, like, if he had lived, everything would have been gone. So it was, like, just so much stuff have been done. So if you find yourself, learn from that example. I think that that's the key to it. That my uncle would want you to know that you have to communicate what you want. Yes, indeed, Robert. It's sorry. So the a third point is to be sure to tell who your beneficiaries are, but to make sure that you don't have just one beneficiary. And why might I say that? Why do you think? Who wants to tell me why they should have more than one beneficiary? Like you, and then I'll explain how I mean. What are you thinking, Miss Sanders?
Well, I'm thinking that there could be something, if something happens to that beneficiary before it happens to you, that could be problematic if there's nobody else listed.
That's right. And they don't have to both be primaries,
Right.
Mr. Smith. You need to have a contingent. And the contingent, so if you have a contingent and you only have one child, that one child is going to eventually get it. But if you list them as the contingent beneficiary, How easy is that?
Yeah.
They're really gonna get it
Yeah.
quick
Yeah.
without going through all the rigmarole, turn it over to the estate, blah 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 blah, da 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 da. Because you know that you could the money could be turned over to the estate, and the estate could be issued a collection, and the collection may have to pay out before you get it. Wouldn't that be something? So some people they just go to the estate, to my estate, because they saw it at some workshop or something. But you got to think about what that means to your estate. Am I making sense to you, Mr. Jones? You see what I'm saying? To your estate.
It's a little bit over my head.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to use those unnecessary words, but there's actually like you can go into your beneficiary form and not put me down. I don't know why you would not. I'm just joking. I know your queen is watching. She'd be like, "What? I'm just joking."
Why you
But
look like her though?
I know. But if you put say that you don't put queen down.
Okay.
You could just put the estate of. Do you know how much harder it would be to make eventually that get to her than to just have put her name? Because it would have to go to your state, then they would have to figure out who you actually she wouldn't even ever get anything. It would go to your cousins way before her.
Mm.
It would go to your brother. Look, it would go to people that don't even speak to you, but they related. They
No,
would get it.
no, they won't.
Yes, they would. Yes, they would. Yes. That bloodline is something, you know what I mean, when it comes to law. Like
Wow.
and like I had a client, we have a member, and she paid a house note for 20 years. She thought it was just in her and her parents' name. Somehow again, the paperwork got messed up. So by the time she was selling it to buy another house, after all these years of paying those bills, that she had to split it between like the brothers, sisters, anyone past kids, kids of the kids, kids, everybody, everybody had to get something. And then
Wouldn't that information have been in the deed though?
yeah, but it wasn't. It was she says that she had a deed with just her and her parents' name on it. But the law says again, it was never registered that way.
Oh, I got you. I got you. I got you. Okay.
You can see Mr. Smith knows exactly what I'm
I,
talking about.
I know because, and also a deed alone doesn't mean you're going to get it, because family we just recently went through it. If someone has taken out a loan or
Wow.
someone owes and they put their name on it, they don't have to be on the deed to get money out of that house. There's other ways. Found
Mm.
Oh,
that out
like
later.
yeah, like the cousin might owe some money to the city
Yes.
for parking tickets or something like that, right? They're
Or
gonna get it.
someone, well, not to get too much, but I, my mom was helping my youngest brother and certain things like that. And
Yes.
so even though the person's name was not on the deed, they had, there's another certificate that person had
Wow.
that would get money that was owed money because of
Wow.
the money that was loaned to my mom.
Mm.
So
Wow.
your name doesn't have to be on the deed to get it. They
Wow.
call it a certificate or something.
So they had
Which
kind of done a lean. They had done like a lean.
it was
Yeah.
similar to a lien, but was not a
Yeah.
lien.
Wow.
But
And
it
see,
had to
we ain't
be
even know. They got
right.
different levels.
There,
Lord.
yes, yeah.
I had a family member one time ask me to help them, do some work on a property. And I said, yeah, just put my name on the deed. And they were like, nope. I was like, well, it is what it is. But you gotta have something in writing, just like they had that certificate in writing. Don't think, voila, it's family. Family don't play when it comes to money. Things will change and it gets ugly. So just keep it in writing that if you did so and so, just do everything in writing. Everything. And
And
it's so too often only one person is paying most of the bills associated with a property that stays in the family for years and years and years. And then when it's sold, they don't keep up with how much money they actually put into it. Mm.
If you want to know who has a piece of the property, you have to request a title search, and that's when it comes up a lot of times.
A lot of stuff can come up
Yes.
then. Wow. Wow.
Mm.
Miss Bussy, turn on that camera. And so think about the beneficiaries. And also a fourth point is, do you realize why a power of attorney is important? And I think power of attorney like irritates a lot of people because if your name is not on the account, even if you're the spouse, you calling in, you want to talk about Mr. Jones' IRA, I can't talk to you about it. So if you have a power of attorney, I can talk to you about it. He has said in the power of attorney that I want this person to be able to talk to you about anything about my money. They can write my bills. They can tell you anything. That power of attorney, it'll say exactly what that person can do. So you and the will is not activated until the person is gone. So if you want to do something while a person is living with their funds or with their assets, you have to have a power of attorney. Ms. Sanders, right? And the medical directive.
Yeah.
That's important right up there with it, right? As a
Yeah.
healthcare professional.
Yeah.
That you would say they call it like a healthcare representative, health representative, or medical directive, but it's basically who's going to say, you do not want to be resuscitated or you do want to be resuscitated, right?
Yeah. That I think you're saying that you're talking about the medical power of attorney, and then there's
Yeah,
the financial one, the one who makes the decision for whether you're going to, the direction for your medical care, and then because they could be two different people.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And make sure if something happens to one of those people that you get it updated.
Hmm.
Or that and it's so easy to not get things updated. And people need, like, I know I need to have a power of attorney for my child that is away at college, because if something happens, is that right, Mr. Smith? They won't talk to me.
Oh, no, they won't. They won't even give you a grades.
You know what I'm saying? So I want to get this. So I went online and I was like, I'm gonna get it over Christmas. Y'all remind me. I'm gonna make sure that we get that done. And then we can go and get it witnessed and everything and notarize whatever it needs. But I signed up for one of those services where I can go in and do those templates for all of the legal documents. But then you have to take the time and do them. But I even use it for like employment contracts and stuff like that. So there are some good services out there, but they take the time. If you're not going to take the time, then you have to pay the money to get the legal document done for you. But what is the first thing they're going to do? Is they're going to give you a questionnaire and a template to fill out. They're going to do the same thing. So you got to put in some time to get to what you want to accomplish. And if you type it up and it says exactly what you want, it says exactly what you want and how you want things to be done, and have your beneficiary forms all intact, like, it might not cost you as much as you think, but we do need to get it done. And the person who needs it the most generally has the money to do it. Don't nickel and dime yourself. You can do it. And so know about the power of attorney, investigate the medical directives, and the a fifth point. Look, I really believe in this. I've never seen this anywhere. This is something that I created. but it's called DIY funeral, do it yourself funeral. We're gonna start this. I'm gonna make it. This is my business. Don't try to take my idea. I see y'all, but think about that. You just go ahead and do it yourself. And I remember when my dad passed, and my mom was talking about the wake, and she said, "Ooh, he can't stand a wake." I said, "Well, then let's not do it." She said, "Oh nah, we're doing a wake. I was just telling you he can't stand it." But if you don't, then people do what they want to do. Because you didn't say, you know what I'm saying? You didn't say like this. So if you want it to be the way you want it to be, do it yourself. You can have your obituary written out. You can have everything how you want everything to be done, like my uncle tried to do. But you got to make sure that somebody knows about it. Yeah, Miss Murphy says she's heard of people planning their services. Yes.
I'm with that because I would not want to have somebody who didn't know me stand up and talk about me.
Happens
Yeah.
all the time. Happens all the time. But what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? You did.
I'm gonna get cremated, so I ain't gotta deal with it.
Look,
But
and look, uh-huh.
there's a document called Five Wishes that is very simple. You go online, you fill it out, and it basically takes you through what is it that you would want and what is it that you would not want. And you
Mm,
just write it all down, even
that's
to the
right.
color dress you want to wear. It's things like that, to that
That's
degree of
right.
specificity. Yeah, that
Just don't sign up for the service because it's probably one of those like fishing for name services, and then they're gonna
no,
give your email.
because I downloaded it and gave it to all my family. It's basically for
Oh,
your
it's just
family.
a download. It's just a
Yeah, it's
download.
just a
Wow.
download. This is what I want, and you just give it to well, it just creates in for us who's like someone's talking about from a big family, it would put to rest a lot of
Yeah.
confusion.
There you go. If you have the wake or not, if you have the so and so or not,
Yes, because it's
is
already been said. This is what I want. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
you talking about, Mr. Smith?
I'm
Why
gonna say, no. 2020 and 2021 been tough for everyone, especially for me. And I can tell you, I know of two people who requested cremation in the will and everything. Didn't happen.
isn't
Mm.
that
Didn't
isn't that
happen because the family didn't want it to happen.
isn't that weird? How do
So
you like? It's like so. Even though it was in the will, the
didn't
person
happen.
didn't care. They went on with what
The
they.
family, they. I'm gonna tell you now, the funeral director will go with whatever the family
Yeah,
decides.
yeah,
I don't care
Really?
what I don't care if you got it in the will or anything. The funeral, especially, they will go with what the family wants.
especially
So,
if
so,
they're gonna make about 10 times more money. You know what I mean? With
Right.
you doing the whole
and
funeral.
that's like if you paying, I'm playing.
Amen. They're
That's
like,
right.
I want to make it. And then look, this is the one that trips you out though. The people who make you feel guilty about it, Star, are the ones who bring no money to the table.
Mm.
Mm.
I'm just saying, like, so they coming and they telling somebody, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. I have a client. He had all the money in the world, no children. He left specific instructions. I am to be cremated. You know what I'm saying? And the beneficiary did it exactly like he said. And she said that people were upset, but I have so much respect for her because I know that's what he wanted. And I remember he told her, or she's like, on the way to the hospital, he said, anything happened to me, call JB. And that's just the way it was. Like, this is the way it's gonna go down. This is the way it is. Had his paperwork straight. You know what I mean? Boom. But they were ticked, but nobody that was ticked was paying any money for anything. He paid
But
for everything himself.
JB, it goes back to what you said it says to in item number 2, speak to family and friends about the plan. You
Mhm.
know, I think that is so important because the people who are going to be the decision makers as after you're gone really need to understand your plan.
Yep.
And I think that that is a key point. Everybody won't understand it, but
Yep.
the person who's going to be making the decisions should be very clear as to what it is that you want.
Yep. And I have most of the AfroEconomics members are standouts. Like they're the statistical anomaly in their family. So, we comfort each other. Like we feel like, oh, everybody must be like us until you die. And then you realize, no, they were not coming every Wednesday night. They did not care. They did not, this, they think things are just like this. Like their value system is so different. Our value system, this whole discussion, taking the time to talk about some financial planning is so out of alignment with the average. You've decided to be extraordinary, and that doesn't even make sense, right? You're like, how in the world can this be extraordinary? But it is.
I have a question. I got a
Yes,
question.
yes.
Okay, you say do it yourself funerals. Can I DIY my will?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. With there's several services out there. We'll talk about it in an attempt not to give any specific companies,
Mhm.
a commercial, but
Mhm.
there's several places. And then what you can do is start working on it, and you can look through it. I can look through it. We can look through. You know what I'm saying? And boom.
No, but I'm saying without going to a professional company, can I just write down what I want myself, get it notarized and things like
Oh
that?
yeah,
Oh,
that
okay.
is legally accepted,
Okay.
and you can take it as long as you have the witness. You know
Okay.
what I mean? And that would be the notary, or I don't even think it has to be notarized, but it has to be witnessed. But you would have to find out specifically for the district. Like
Okay.
go in and Google, does my will require a notary or just a witness?
Okay.
And the
Okay.
witness couldn't be the one getting everything. You know what I mean? He
Ah.
wants me to get everything, and then they're making you do it. You see what I'm saying? So they can't be the witness. But there's certain, you know what I mean, legal guidelines to watch out for you. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Because if not, people be like choking them. Sign this, So sad. But yeah, you certainly could, and then you could register it because that's why people go. I don't want to go through probate. And probate is the process of making sure that your will is followed. So if you don't go through the probate where the court makes sure that your will is followed, where I was saying, like with my uncle, when he was going through the probate, my cousin was like, I want to take over. I don't want her to be the executor. I know that's what my dad wanted, but I don't want it, and this and that. We were in the probate courts, and he was, fighting to not for me not to be the leader that his dad asked me to
Mhm.
be. But that process, if everything was turned over to a trust and then I was set up as the trustee, I don't think it would have been as easy for him to do that, but he still could have hired a lawyer, right, Mr. Smith? You know what I'm saying? That there's lawyers who fight over trustees. Look at Britney Spears. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing that was living. That was why living. You know what
Perfect
I'm saying?
example.
And there was,
Perfect example. Yep.
yeah, yeah. Like so, you just
If it's
anything.
money in it, then fight it.
Yeah, right, right. If the lawyers say like, how much money you got? Okay, isn't it true?
I'll
Isn't it
find it.
true?
That's right.
That is so true. So DIY your funeral. And then a 6 point is, digital estate planning. So true. I mean, how many people die and then somebody on Facebook tries to take over their page? Don't you hate that? And then I get a friend request from a friend that I know has passed on. So we need to have digital estate planning and that you have a list of here's my password for Facebook, here's my password for LinkedIn, here's my, you know what I mean? So that you can shut them down
Mhm.
or someone can manage them, after your life. If you have accounts that you've set up digitally, like some people have digital checking accounts, you might not be getting any statements. Because see, if before someone passed, you could just sit at their house and kind of wait for their mail to come in, right? And you can see where their money was. You can't do that now because we got e-delivery. So if you have a brokerage account, that needs to be written down with the password, contact name, da da da, everything. So that's what I love. Our secure firm portal, our electronic file cabinet that we use here at AfroEconomics, a seriously great tool to use. Mr. Smith, I got to get you using it. And then say something happens to you and you have put all this stuff in there already. I mean, in reality, it's probably, there are companies that probably charge people more than I charge for membership just to have that file cabinet. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of your membership. Because they're charging just for memory now. So, but if you have that, and then they call and they say that they're indeed, how you doing, Reverend Edlow? Indeed. So when if you have your secure firm portal, and then you come, your power of attorney comes to me, I can go through that and help them a lot. You can put in there your electronic passcodes. You can put in there anything you want, but you got to have a digital plan now. You got to have a digital plan. Y'all scared. That's why you shouldn't be talking to other people on social media. look, people don't want their queen or their man to see it. Look, then stop talking, because you never know your last day. Stop playing. So your digital estate plan. And then some of the point is to look at groups, schools, universities, anything that's important, or even the people that are important to you. Don't forget about them in your estate plan. If they're not related to you, they're not going to naturally fall into the order of things. So if you want your fifth grade teacher to get something because it's because of her that you're this famous author, Mr. Jones, well, then you need to make sure that you put my fifth grade teacher. I wonder if your fifth grade teacher is still living. You need to find her.
Wow.
I remember mine. I was thinking about her. She taught me how to make corn pudding.
I don't remember my fifth grade, but I do remember my favorite teacher. I do.
Oh, that's so cool. You should check. We should check. She'd be like, "Oh my God, he's stalking me." I mean, no, I was just saying hi. I was just saying hi. Just thinking about you in my estate planning. And then, the eighth point is to be sure to think about what your decisions will do to impact your children or your beneficiaries. How will your inheritance impact their lives? Like, sometimes, you can be really into rental properties, but maybe the beneficiaries are not really into rental properties. So maybe we need to have in our plan that we're going to sell off these properties over, after 2030. Then the goal will be to start liquidating those, or we need to, liquidate, and, whatever. But those are you need to think about, how are your decisions going to impact them financially, and can they really even handle it? And that's where a trust can come in, because in a trust, you can live after you die. Where when you just put somebody as a beneficiary, they get it. But when you have money going into a trust, you can say how it's spent. This child gets 20,000 a year. And if they don't do well in school, they don't get 20,000. Something like, I mean, you can put, your instructions. After school, they get none, and then it goes to grandchildren. You know, so you can put in a trust anything you want. It's really depends on your desire for control. Trust is also good if you have a special needs child. It's a good way to plan. There's a special needs trust that can be established so that the assets that you're leaving for them don't make them unqualified for government assistance. Am I making sense? Because you can't, if you're disabled, you can't have a lot of assets in your name. So you put the money in the trust so that they can still benefit from it and they can still get Medicaid that they may need. Am I making sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But that's important. I had one client, she was injured in a surgery, and they took part of her money and put it into a special needs trust. And I couldn't really understand why, but they took part of it, and she had to beg and plead every time she wanted a dime out. That's the only disadvantage. So be very careful. And I think it was still caught up in there when she passed,
Mm.
but it was, very inconvenient on how their decision was to put it there. But I know a lot of it was probably to help her still be able to qualify for the Medicaid that she needed after they injured her. She was injured in a hospital surgery. Yeah. How you doing, Miss Benita Daniels? She said yes. And when Miss Daniels, better known as Miss Davis in South Carolina, says yes, it's yes. So and then um thinking about the trust, that's my ninth point. My 10th point is think about taxation. Taxation on everything. There's in this Biden new rule, we talked about it briefly one Wednesday about the step up, where the capital gains, if you inherit now a property, and it might be worth $2 million, you can step up to the $2 million market value. But in this new um, financial rules that are going through Washington, that may change. And anything over $1 million may not be able to be stepped up. I don't think if it's impacting stocks. I think that's only on real estate. Wouldn't that just be because I don't, because I'm not a real estate, I do investments, no. But I do think it was like a real estate rule that they're thinking about switching. And that's real. That step up is a really nice feature. And so that again, it's if you do have a property, it's worth $2 million, your family's going to inherit it, and then they inherit $2 million, and the cost, they don't get to do the step up except for $1 million, then that's $1 million of capital gain that they have to recognize. So, there's definitely some tax strategies that we need to think through before you just do things. We should just think it on through. And then IRAs, now if it's non-spousal, they have to be dumped out within 10 years. So if a child inherits a traditional IRA, they have to have everything out of it within 10 years. Isn't that something? Yeah. The but so taxes, think about it. And then the final point is to just make sure that we think everything through together, that we have regular discussions about this, that we have regular visits, Zooms, discussions about, okay, if I pass away today, how would this go? How would this work? What do you think, JB? And then we talk it through. Look at her. Every time I try to let her in, it has to indeed. How you doing, Ms. Neville? That the medical power of attorney will supersede spousal rights. I don't know if that's a statement or a question, but I think she made a statement that medical power of attorney will supersede spousal rights. That I guess that's kind of scary. You might want to tell your spouse if they're not right, if they're not that person. Look, your medical power of attorney person might be saying, pull the plug. And your spouse is like, no, no, I want her to live forever. And then and look, and then your cousin is like, pull the plug. Isn't that something? And if the power of attorney, the medical directive supersedes the spouse, that plug will have to be pulled. Look, unless of course he take him to court, right? Like on Law and Order, turn it into an episode. So there, yes, if you're a large family, it's bigger, and then funerals are the biggest markup. Yes, they are, Miss Murphy. I appreciate y'all your comments. We've been talking because I had my panel. Y'all were with me today. I hope y'all saw. Could y'all see the comments that were coming in?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Smith, I am totally impressed with you. You just came right in. Step right up like Star. Y'all need to meet. I think y'all both single. Yes, indeed. We're gonna get everybody together so all of y'all extraordinary, amazing people, we can all meet each other. And y'all be like, wow, you stepped right up. Yeah, we step up type of people. Yes, indeed.
Amen. Amen.
Aren't we? Are we? Yes, we are.
Amen.
Oh, thank
Yes, we
you.
are.
Thank you, Cheryl Fleming. The very good information. This is, of course, this can be replaced with all of the extensive stuff we need on each of these topics. But I think that these are some of the extraordinary things that sometimes get overlooked because usually these discussions are led by product based, are led by the attorney. And it's more of an incentive of what documents you need to buy. What I'm focusing this on is you looking at yourself holistically and understanding why each of those things, how they can help you, how each of the legal documents can help you, and why they might be needed. But I'm going to tell you, if you have all your beneficiary forms set up correctly, that will help a lot. Because the fact that you don't have a will is already it's giving direction already. There's certain order of things that are already set up by your county, state, or city. But your beneficiary form supersedes all of that. So get what you can control very easily. That's right. Ms. Neville said it. Neville said it is a statement. She's like, I ain't asked you no question. It was a statement. A named medical power of attorney will supersede spousal rights. I don't know why she said that. You're a single woman. What made you think about that? Oh, I know. Yeah. She's like, my life goes beyond just me. That's right. You have to look out for everyone. That's true. That's good to know though. So any additional questions, don't hesitate. I even like put one of the little stickers up there. I tried to put, but I think that was that I want to bring this. I tried to put my email. There we go. Look at that. We see everybody's name. Miss Sanders, James, Star, Kenneth Jones. And look, and my loud girl, Miss Davis. Thank you all so much. You all made it come alive. You
Thank
made
you,
my night.
JB. Thank
You
you.
made
Thank
my night.
you. It was good stuff.
Oh, I'm
Definitely
so
good
glad.
stuff.
And I'll
Yeah.
continue. I will continue. We'll continue. We'll talk more about this next year. Thank you. Y'all have a great night. And
You
let your
too.
know I'm just a call away.
Okay.
Hey, good night.
Thank you. Good night. Take
Good night, JB. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Oh, thank you, Miss Fleming. I love y'all.
Love you too.
Indeed. Yes. Let me know if I can help. You know, Miss Dickerson. Good night. Miss Pritchett, I thought about you today. We got to talk soon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. May we live and be happy every day of our life. This is about living estate planning. I'm JB Bryan, President and Chief Investment Officer at JB Bryan Financial Group, the home of AfroEconomics and a registered investment advisory firm. Have a great one.